All right, guys, I'm Patrick Hall. This is Lee Morris. We are doing our very first community critique. And what we've done is we've asked a lot of our users on the Fstoppers community to submit one of their favorite pictures, and we are going to quickly go through and give our opinions on these images. Now, this is kind of a subjective thing, but we've tried to make the rating in our community very objective. So we're going to tell you guys exactly what we find interesting about these pictures and what we think could be improved.
And real quick, we'll go through the rating system that we came up with. It's a 5-star system. 1 star is a snapshot image. 2-star needs work. Needs work, we believe, before it could ever be in somebody's portfolio. 3 stars is a solid image. 4 stars is excellent. 5 stars is world class, unforgettable, and incredible work. So we had our assistant choose 20 pictures. We don't know what these pictures are. We don't know who took these pictures, so it's not a popularity contest in any way. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of these 20 pictures. We're going to give it a rating and then quickly talk about why we gave it that rating. So here's the first picture here. And I think the only way for this to be fair is Patrick and I, we will do a rock, paper, scissors type thing. And we're going to throw down what we think, 1 to 5 in terms of a rating on this image. You ready?
Now, first, should we describe what we're looking for in these pictures?
Okay.
I think there's several factors. We obviously come kind of from, we're wedding photographers first and foremost, but we also really look at images kind of through the lens of like commercial use. Obviously, all of these images probably won't have commercial use, but I think that's a good standard to figure out if your images have what it takes to get you work.
Yeah, either the image is going to help you book a job sometime in your life, which will make you money, or if it's an art piece, somebody's going to buy it to hang it on their wall.
Or it might be published and licensed in some way.
Right.
And so what we're looking for is post-production, composition, choice in like your model, who's actually in the picture, overall concept, so those sort of things. So let's start with this first one.
All right, you ready?
Sure, I think so.
3, 2, 1. 4 stars.
4. Okay.
So we're both in agreement on this. You want to talk a little bit about this picture?
Yeah, so this image, I can tell the post-production is great. Nothing stands out as just being done poorly. A lot of preparation and work has gone into this. I can tell that they've built a set. If they didn't build a set, then they composited things in to make it look like a set. And it looks like an advertisement for ice cream. I could see this being used with, Lady Gaga or Jenny McCarthy or, some celebrity in there. If this was a musician, maybe Pink, this would look great in like Rolling Stone.
It'd be a 5-star at that point.
Yeah, it'd be like something in a Rolling Stone or some kind of magazine. So I just love the mood and image of it, and the colors and everything.
Yeah, you can tell somebody put a lot of work into this. I personally, I don't understand the bubbles. I don't know why the bubbles are there. The model's face isn't great. It's a little strange. However, you can just tell there's so much work and concept that went into this. That's why I gave it 4.
I think if an art buyer saw this, or they were sending some talent in your city and they said, who's a photographer we could hire, and they saw this and it fit the genre they were doing, I think they would call you up instantly.
Agreed. Next picture. All right, you ready?
Sure.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars.
2 stars. I don't know.
So I'll start off on this one. This is the type of picture to me that's just, it's a 2-star image. Like if this was on somebody's website, I personally don't think it's that exciting. I don't know if that much talent or thought went into the picture. You were at a location. There was somebody there. They're holding the door frame. You took a snapshot. There's obviously no lighting. They didn't wait for a particular part of the day to take the picture. They didn't work on styling the picture at all. They didn't work on any sort of post-production. This doesn't even look like a lot of post-production went into creating the black and white. It kind of looks like it's just desaturated to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like, I think it definitely needs work to be a memorable image and to be something I would put in my own portfolio. That being said, I have seen really high-end photographers. If this was Julia Roberts and she's standing there in the doorway and it's her barn and it's an editorial piece, I can see how this type of image would work in that context. But again, I think it comes back down to, would you want this image in your portfolio to represent your best work? And
this is the type of picture that if a famous art photographer took, then it could be worth tons of money.
Right.
But if the average person takes it, it's kind of a snapshot. I'm not giving it a 1 star.
Technically, it's pretty good. I mean, there's lots of detail, and I think, the black and white conversion, to me, looks great. It's something that, again, it would be kind of a throwaway image, hopefully from a bigger shoot that I was doing. Or it could be used in an editorial context where maybe this is one of like 7 pictures of this person. But I think on its own, it just doesn't, it's too symmetrical, it's too similar, too simple.
Yeah,
it
not
doesn't
much going
really
on.
do much for me.
Next up. Alrighty, you ready?
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars again. We're on the same page, 100%.
So I think what makes this instantly a 2-star versus like a snapshot is the fact that I can tell this is a photographer who took it.
Mm-hmm.
They've used some kind of shallow depth of field in this image to frame up some stuff on the side to get it out of focus, and they may have even used some lighting to the left. Maybe this is all natural, I don't know, but it definitely has the photojournalistic look to it. But it just it's bordering on a snapshot that was just done slightly better with some thought put into the image.
It has good composition. That's why it's not a snapshot. Like you said, the shallow depth of field is interesting. I don't think that it's in focus though. If you look, I think the subject of the picture should be the little boy getting his hair cut, but I think it's actually back focused behind him. If you look at this, or you look at the Croc shoe. That's what it's most focused on. So, to me, it's fine picture, but I wouldn't put this in a portfolio to make money.
I think what's difficult with this type of image is it's probably more of a shot of the person's family or somebody close to them. And in that way, I'd love to have pictures of me like this as a kid. Right. That would be awesome. I'd love to have this on my wall, and it's part of, my family, documentation. But to have this on a website, to put this in front of people, it's just... it's a little strange.
Next. This is a tough one because I've seen this one on the website, and oh man, I really, okay, I think I know what I'm going to rate this, and I think it's going to be different than you. Because I know what you're going to rate it, and I know what I'm going to rate it. Are you ready?
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You gave it a 2. All right.
Yeah, I gave it a 2 as well. This is a really tough one. Like, I struggle going back and forth and giving this a solid 3. The reason I did not give it a 3, obviously, a lot more lighting has gone into this. A lot more thought has gone into this. There's actually a concept here. There's makeup. There's styling. There's post-production. Everything's going on, but at the same time, this looks like a high school art project to me.
Yeah.
And so I would say an image like this cannot be in your portfolio because
it's going to instantly place you in that college art class versus a professional. And I think for me, like, the lighting might be great. I mean, the lighting looks awesome.
Yeah.
He's completely edged out. It looks awesome. Really, what probably kills it more for me than anything else, the graffiti background's kind of a little cliche. And then the other guy, who I guess is supposed to be about to kill him and bury him, it just looks like a stand-in. It's like a friend. If this was
both of them look like that.
Yeah, I mean, the main character is kind of like that too. But if you had some creepy-looking guy in the background and you casted the right guy for that, and then you had somebody in the foreground that also was more of a character...
Like James Bond, or who's the Taken actor? Who is that? Is it Liam Neeson?
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, this could be a great movie poster. Again, I agree with you about the graffiti. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it's obviously done well. Like, whoever took this picture knows what they're doing, but they failed with the talent. I would imagine that one of these two people is the photographer. It just looks like one of those pictures.
Yeah, and so I don't know what other images we're about to see, but I think that's a pretty common theme is... You got the lighting down, you got the lens choice, you got the composition, and you think it's like working, but it's going to come down to your casting or your makeup or just the overall energy from the picture. And I think this one fails with casting. And then I'm not a big fan of graffiti. I know I was excited to shoot in front of graffiti when I first got started, but I think this with some kind of weird paneled wood walls or something that was a little creepier and grungier, or if these were gang members, I think this might work, but. The way it is now, I would give it a 2, and as well done as the lighting is.
Yeah, it just goes to show you can be a great photographer. You can be very technical, but still take a picture that's really lacking, just because you chose the wrong actor. This one's interesting.
What's interesting about this picture is I've seen this on our website before, but it was bordered by white, and for some reason it didn't pop as much as it does now. Now we're showing it against pure black, and it's just this flower.
You ready?
I think so.
3, 2, 1. 3.
How about
what
that?
if we get through this entire thing and we rate everything the exact same? That will be proof that our rating system actually makes sense. This picture, and it's funny, I believe I've seen another flower picture from this photographer, and I think I rated it a 4, if I remember correctly. Everybody, when they first get started in photography, they love taking pictures of flowers and pets. And most of the time, those pictures are absolutely terrible. However, this picture, it's like a studio lit flower on pure black. It's very different. The only reason that I'm giving it a 3 and not a 4 or even a 5 is probably the styling of the flower. Like the fact that it has the weird petal on the top that's kind of rotten.
Instantly Photoshop that out and
exactly
make it a little stronger.
Yeah, but the lighting on this is super nice. It's almost like beauty light on this flower, and I like it. I think it's much better than the average flower picture.
Yeah, and things like flowers are hard to judge because I'm trying to imagine what a 5-star flower would look like, and I think at that point it's just got to be contextual. It's a flower that they just discovered and it's from the Brazilian Amazon, and it has some story to it, and obviously it's hard to tell what kind of story something like this would have. But I think if you were catering yourself towards National Geographic or somebody who buys art or editorial images like this, I think they would see this image and say, hey, this is awesome. Like, if that was the subject matter that we needed, this photographer could take a picture of it.
Yeah.
So I give it a solid 3. Like I said, a little bit of Photoshop would probably make the flower look a little...
Or just finding a better flower.
Yeah. It's framed up really nice and clean, and it's good.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 2 stars. We both agree again. To me, this looks like something that I took in college when I was just getting into photography. I think I have pictures almost exactly like this, actually. I took my girlfriend outside during the day and photographed her in front of a tree, and then I took her in front of the brick wall, and then I took her at night under the lamppost, and I all these pictures of my girlfriend that at the time I thought were amazing. But looking back now, they're just 2-star images that I took. So it's fine, but I would never put this on a website that I was trying to promote myself as a professional photographer.
Yeah, I don't even know really what to say about this. I mean, it seems like a lighting test maybe, or it's like I have to go out and shoot something, so here's what I did that night, which is awesome. If you're just getting into photography, you need to go out and shoot and light and play around with this all the time. But this is definitely one of those images I wouldn't put in my portfolio, and if I did put it in my portfolio, I would hope that it would be replaced very soon with something way better than this. So
I remember this one from the website. You ready?
I don't think I've ever seen this. All right.
1, 2, 3.
4 stars. Do we know this photographer? We don't have the names here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember who took this, but I specifically remember seeing it and thinking, like, did Mike Kelly take this picture? And then I saw, oh no, he didn't. Awesome. Well, we have another great architectural photographer in our community. This is exciting. I think it's excellent. I think when I rated this the first time on the website, I may have even considered giving this a 5-star. And I go back and forth between like how many 5-star images I should rate, because in reality, a world class, like for instance, you could easily market this worldwide. This picture could be a worldwide image. Is it unforgettable? Probably not. And so that's why I give it a 4 stars over a 5. But I think it's great. I think the composition's great. I think the lighting's great. The post-production's great. And so that's why I give it 4.
This brings up something interesting that Mike Kelly has talked about a lot online, because he does manipulate the scene in a way that produces an image like this that's really not reality. As well lit as this is, your eye and the camera could never capture that. And so I look at this and I think, if you're showing off the architecture of, I guess this is like a bus station or maybe like a airport or something. I don't know, the little yield sign, something small, seems like that could come out. Not a big deal.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if that really bothers me. This post might bother me a little more than that, but I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I see the whole picture. I love the scoop of the second roof on the upper left.
That's probably the thing I see most people fail with architecture, especially those who've bought the Mike Kelly DVD, is that they have mastered the lighting, but then the composition is straight on, or the foreground is really boring. And this image, he's done a really good job of just adding that little scoop on the left side, lets you know that you're in some bigger area than just across the street looking at this building. So, yeah, I love it.
Ready?
This one's tough.
It is tough, but I think you're going to make the right decision.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Oh, our first disagreement.
Okay.
I was on the fence. This is kind of a 2.5 star to me, so I think, right in between 2 and 3 stars. The reason why I gave it a solid was if this was on a family portrait website, it's done very well. In a way, you could say that this was shot excellently,
Yeah.
But it's just the father and son high-fiving and bending over. It's just awkward and kind of weird. So, although it's a great image, the sky's cool, the lighting's perfect. I like the little people in the background over here. I like the composition too, with the water taking up, more than half of the picture. I think it's pretty, but it's just weird. I can imagine if you took this exact same picture and instead of the father and son doing the weird pose, it was a bride and groom, or it was some sort of fashion model or something, you could give it a 4 star, right?
Yeah, but let's even keep it in the genre of family photography.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
I would say with family photography, I used to shoot a lot of families and on the beach. And I feel like the thing I always go back to is raw emotion. And this image, to me, it's it looks posy. It looks like maybe this was the dad's idea, but the kid hates it. And they're so small in the image. And I think for a lot of family pictures, you want to see the family.
Well, see, that's the problem is that, for a true family client that's going to be hiring you, this probably isn't a good picture at all.
But if that's what you're going for, I think if you moved your subject closer, keep the same frame, but now they're kind of here where this ridge of water is, and now they're interacting with themselves versus staring at the camera blankly. I think this would be a fantastic image.
It could be a 4.
It's just the lighting. Everything about this is great. It's just the people in the picture just...
It's almost in between, maybe before this, they were walking down the beach hand in hand, or he was throwing his kid up in the air, and that picture's awesome. And then after this, they walk closer to the camera and they take another shot, and that picture's awesome. And then this is some weird, funny one that they took in between, and the photographer was go ahead and give it to him.
Yeah, it's I had this happen all the time. It's and I don't know that that's what happened in this, but my client says, "Why don't we do this?"
Right.
And inside, you're kind of oh, gosh, that's a horrible idea. But I'm going to do it to make them happy, and I'm going to give them that picture. To me, this almost has that vibe of why don't we do this one picture and this is it? But anyway, I think it has the potential to be awesome. This photographer, no doubt, is going to have a great portfolio. They know what they're doing. They just need to tweak either their presentation of this photo and put the one that's really good up, or just get better with their clients and getting to the stage where this shot is a 4.
All right, you ready?
I know the rating. I'm trying to think what I want to talk about. All right.
Well, let's do the rating first. 3, 2, 1. 2 star. Needs work. I'll go first. This is one step above a snapshot to me. The lighting on her face is actually pretty good. I think it's pretty flattering light. Her pose is weird. Her hair is weird. The post-production is weird. It definitely doesn't look like somebody that has no idea about photography took it. There's actually, there's thought that went into this. The main thought being it's well lit. But again, it just seems like with pictures like this, you probably took 100 pictures on this photo shoot, and this is one of the weird ones, but like one split second before this face and one split second after this face, it would have been way better. But, there's that commercial, ha ha ha, I'm laughing.
It's a lifestyle shot.
Right. That's not that face. That's awkward to me.
Yeah. I look at this image, and maybe I'm wrong, but the blur in the background looks a little crazy to me. Maybe the lens did that. I don't know that this is a fake blur, but something about it just...
It's like something potentially was photoshopped out up here.
Or motion blur or
it's,
something.
It's like doubled or something.
Yeah,
But even, like, that's insignificant.
I feel like, if we're really going to get down to it, I feel like the framing is a little off. I feel like, her eyes should be a little higher in the frame. The hair, like you said. This has kind of maybe it's this monitor, has like a green tint to it. That always drives me crazy. I have so many assistants that shoot on Canon, and for some reason, I don't know what it is about Canon, but they give me these images that are processed with this green tint. I think, it just needs a little bit more magenta. But yeah, I think you nailed it. It's like, it's just not quite there for the lifestyle family portrait sort of, image.
I'm struggling here between two numbers, yeah. Oh, man. Ooh, this is tough. I would like to give it a 0.5, but I'm going to go ahead and rate. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. All right, we both gave it 4s. Obviously, a lot of thought went into this. It's got that really flat fashion lighting, which is big right now. There was a stylist, or at least a lot of thought into it. Obviously, somebody did a lot of work on the hair and makeup. The reason why I don't love it, and the reason why I would give it a 3.5 if I could.
You were going 3.5.
Yeah.
I was thinking I might have gone 4.5.
Okay, well, you can tell me why in a second. But I personally, I don't really like the model's expression. It's kind of like this blank look in between two good expressions again. Her pose is a little strange. I don't mind her legs, but the weird arms out is kind of weird to me. I'm losing the bag and the hat and the sunglasses. It all just kind of blends in. I know that's the point. But, it's excellently done, but I don't love this image.
This to me looks like one of those images that I would take and then not love it because this is what the client wanted, but it was so well done and it's so memorable, and it's got the little twist of her dress is almost the same as the background, that I see this in a lot of high-end commercial photographers' portfolios, and I don't always say that's my favorite picture, but I get it, I love it. You can tell from the hair it's being shot down, so they've done a lot of work to get above the model and shoot down and get everything laid out. I really like it. I think world class is hard. I think it's excellently done, and I think it is a memorable shot. I will remember this picture because of the nature of it. But I don't know what could be done more.
I think better model, better lighting, better pose.
The thing that kind of throws me off is the position of especially the hat. Some of the accessories, it almost looks like it's just photoshopped in with the light being totally different. She's lit very flat, and then there's all this shading on the hat. Maybe that's natural, but it seems like the hat should be more flat.
Well, also, if they're shooting down, how is the hat sitting sideways?
Well, yeah, it's propped up or something. I don't know. I think a world-class image, you wouldn't question any of that. You'd be like, that's just...
Well, maybe you would, and that's the point of it.
Maybe, maybe. But I like it. It's one of the best pictures I've seen.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Another 2-star. To me, this picture is like another HDR snapshot. You know, anybody who happened to be there would have snapped this with a cell phone or whatever camera they happen to have, put a HDR filter on it. You can tell it's not a complete amateur. It has a composition to it. They put some thought maybe into the post-production. I personally just hate HDR. I just feel like it doesn't look good. No, you don't ever see advertisements that have HDR like this. Yeah. It doesn't exist. But for some reason...
Well, and you can tell, too, by the shadows, and especially the trees. Like, this is shot, like, at noon or 2 in the afternoon, and the light's just never flattering. And if you're going to work in that time, you really have to put a lot of effort to make it look good. And these cars are clearly just in an open field, the light beating down on them. So,
yeah. I always try to ask myself, if anybody else was there, my mom is going to be mad when she hears this, but because she's trying to get more serious with photography. But I always say, like, is my mom capable of taking this picture? Because my mom likes taking snapshots of people. Hey guys, get together and let me take a snap. She doesn't really think about the lighting or the posing or anything. It's just like, oh, that's a great shot of our 5 family members together. And so...
But if she was going on vacation and came across this scene and she had her camera on her...
Maybe now, as she's getting better, she might take something like this. But no, I feel like this is still like some thought to composition has gone into this. Yeah. But it's still like this is not a portfolio image in my opinion. Moving on. Ooh. I'm in between numbers again. Do you know what you want to rate this?
I think I know pretty much off the bat.
All right. I would go in between numbers if I could, but I can't. 3 stars. I think it's a 2.5. I can't rate 2.5. So I'm rounding up because obviously like some post-production has been done here. I assume that the snow is fake. I don't know.
I was going to assume that it is too. But...
well, she obviously has white stuff on her. So maybe it is snowing, but then snowflakes have been added because the snowflakes don't look real to me.
Well, I like that they went the extra time to mix the fake snow or the real snow dust and then to add the Photoshop snow. Yes. It really helps bring the picture together, in my opinion.
Yeah. Some of the reasons why I don't like it, composition's a little strange. The fact that her eyes are just slightly above center line. I probably like her head a little higher in the frame. I don't think she's the best model. I don't think her expression's the best. Obviously, her hair doesn't look great in this picture. There's just not much styling going on. It's kind of like I just happened to be outside with this person. I took a picture, and it's much better than in a snapshot, but it's not amazing by any means.
The model doesn't bother me because I look at her and say she's not some drop-dead gorgeous supermodel. But she looks very much like talent you'd see on TV. I could see her on some TV show.
With better hair.
Yeah, the hair. That's the one thing I was thinking is it just seems like if you had a hairstylist and the part down the middle and, kind of the loose ends and everything were just tightened up a little bit, I think even with the blank face, I think it's still a solid 3. Like her eyes are this is the Peter Hurley stuff. Like her eyes are telling you enough to where you're engaged.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree. I think if you just take the same image and crop it and cut just the littlest bit of her head off, it would be just tighter. I love the composition. I know Danny Diamond did a tutorial on how to make fake snow. Mm-hmm. I don't know that he used his circular of snowflakes.
His snow looked more real.
This looks a little like repetitive. So that's a minor thing. I've never made fake snow in Photoshop before, so take that with a grain of salt. But I think it's a solid 3 to me. I love the colors. This would book you work, I think.
But it'd book you a lot more if it were a little better.
No, absolutely.
But it's close. It's close. Ooh. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
You gave it your first 1 star, huh?
Yeah, I gave it a 1. You gave it a 2. Why do you give it a 2?
First of all, again, I go back to like, your friend, girlfriend, mom who's got a camera, and I say maybe now with cameras you can take this just as a snapshot. But to me, this looks like they got really close and they allowed the background to blur, and maybe now they all have the macro feature.
Yeah, my iPhone can do
The
that.
light is, it's not the worst of light that you could have. It's not like you're out in the middle at noon and you're like, this is a pretty flower, let me take a picture, and it's like blown out and shadowy.
It happened to be within shadow. Like, it just so happened to be.
Maybe they planned for it to be in the shade.
No planning going on in this picture.
Obviously, the thing that I hate the most is this little thing on the left. That little
other flower that hasn't.
Yeah, that should be photoshopped out or removed or cut off. Before
I don't think this picture is salvageable. I don't think any time.
You gave it a 1. That's the worst.
Yeah, and that's not to say that I don't take 1-star images every day of my life. I walk around constantly taking snapshots with my cell phone just for memories or whatever. But to say that anybody with any camera in this moment is not capable of taking that exact shot, like, I don't see any sort of composition. I don't see any thought that went into lighting. No thought went into post-production. No thought even went into, like, choosing a better flower that didn't have another ugly flower sticking out from beside it, This is like exactly a snapshot to me. I mean, what could be different for this to be a 1 in your opinion?
I just look at it and think that in the exposure range, it's too perfect. If I had my iPhone, I could just see taking this picture and it's like the light's not that nice on it. I mean, who knows? Maybe you don't think this is lit at all. Like, I see this hard shadow, like softer shadow there.
It could be direct flashed.
It just seems like our criteria was always that 2 was still kind of a snapshot where some thought went into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a 1.5.
But think of it this way. Remember the one earlier where the guy was getting beat with the shovel and he has the blood and he has a 3-point lighting stuff? We gave that a 2. And now you're
that was hard to give a 2. I gave it a 2
was.
because the talent in the picture was just not right. But, I mean, I can see it, I guess. It's like a 1.5 to me, but okay. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
All right, we'll move on.
A 2 is still pretty bad.
Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 3 stars. We agree. It's solid. It's good lighting. I like the food being on the granite or whatever background that is. I think it's interesting. It's pretty to look at. You see this type of photography every day in food magazines. It's solid. Again, I can't give it an excellent just because of what it is. It's like you just throw a piece of fruit or vegetable on a piece of granite, light it from the side. Like, it looks good, it's solid, but it's not mind-blowing.
Yeah, and it makes me think, what would a 5-star editorial, maybe editorial is the wrong word, but like food image be?
I think one came up, and Pat, nod if you put it in here. Did you put the one of the chef who was like cooking the food or whatever? Okay, he didn't put it in here, but like it was picture of the day. It was an editorial picture of like a real life chef cooking.
There was a person in there.
Yes.
If you were to take a picture of, I don't know, a cake or a dish.
I think it could be done. I know it can be done. It's just with something as simple as this, I think it's very difficult to say like, wow, this is an excellent picture that can never leave your portfolio. It's good. It's solid.
This will definitely book you work. And,
yes.
Food magazines and blogs are more editorial in nature. They're going to have 6 shots that show all the ingredients and then the final shot of what it made. Or the local cuisine of what they use around town. And, I think a lot of work went into
it's very similar. Like, people have been arguing, we're wedding photographers, people have been arguing that, wedding pictures get rated low compared to other pictures. And I said, well, for what they are, I believe they get rated correctly. Because if I shoot a wedding and I shoot 3,000 pictures, the majority of the pictures are going to be like 2 and 3 level pictures, And a level 2 image is great for a client, but it needs work before it hits my portfolio, right?
Yeah, it has sentimental value that would never have value to the general public viewing it.
Right. And so it's the same thing with editorial pictures as well. Like, this is a solid picture, and maybe it's going to be very difficult to take a world-class editorial picture, but we have to rate it for what it is. and it's a simple.
It's
shot.
better than most of the food stuff I see.
Yes,
most food falls in the 2 category.
That's true. And here we go, a wedding picture. Okay, you ready?
This one's tough for me, but
Is it?
I mean, yeah, I think I mean,
1, 2, 3. 3 stars. We agree. What were you thinking? It would be lower?
I mean, there's things I can see that would be improved,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe because I'm a wedding photographer and I know what's expected, I think brides would love this image.
Right.
Even though I, as a photographer, see things that I would like to tweak,
Mm-hmm.
And it's in a different genre than I do. Most of my images aren't natural light. I light things more often than not, and so I don't want to. Neither one's better or worse, but I see these images all the time in magazines, and I think brides love them. And the thing that bothers me is the composition.
Yes.
I feel like it's
cutting off the shoulders halfway into the shoulders is weird to me. The
too much
space above the head is a little weird.
I think the shot would, I like to shoot horizontals because I can
Exactly what I was
shoot for
gonna
my
say.
website, and I know for my website it fills up the screen, it looks great. I would, there's nothing vertical. There's nothing in this picture that a vertical warrants.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is the bow tie, the boutonniere, her dress line, her medallion, yes, the
Necklace.
flower in her hair, yes. All of that is what is interesting. And so if you shot this exact same image wide, you'd get the shoulder, you wouldn't get the weird crop. You'd crop lower from the chest, maybe even cut off a little bit of the tops of their head. And now you have even more emotion in the shot. And I might give it a 4 at that point. But I agree. The weirdest thing to me is the composition. He's wincing a little bit strange. Like, you can tell this is posed.
Yeah.
This isn't a real moment.
Yeah.
Which also bothers me. But
I mean, you force your clients to do posed.
Oh, sure.
But then once you get them there, you try to get them to actually laugh.
Yeah.
And it's like a posed shot with a real reaction in it.
Yeah.
But like, I look at this and I love the blurry background. I love that there's headlights or some highlight right behind them.
Yeah.
Their hair has this killer like highlight that looks studio lit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in terms of mastering natural light, I think it's great. Her dress has all the detail.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks awesome. But just, you could even take this image and just crop it a little bit tighter as a vertical, and I think it'd be a little stronger.
Yeah.
Cut out his
Maybe
pocket
so.
on the bottom left.
Yeah.
But
It's
solid
good.
3.
It's a 3. Yep. This one has been popping up a lot recently, and I saw this one on the website and I rated it, and I think I may want to change my vote that I voted publicly on the website today. I'm in between 2 numbers again. Okay, I'm going to change my vote. I'm ready to do that.
I so want to. Okay.
You ready? 2, 1, 4. We
What
both
did you
gave
give
a
it?
4. I gave it a 3 before.
Okay.
And the reason I gave this a 3 is because it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's obviously really well done. Like, it's well photographed, it's well composited, it's got a great modern look to it. But I just don't get it, I just, like, what is this for? Is a wedding client going to say, oh, I got to book you so you can do these Godzilla movie posters with me? Or, it just doesn't make any sense. And I think I read the little thing, and the guy said, I like making epic wedding pictures for my friends. And that's cool. Like, it's this fun little thing that you do. I just wonder who you could market this to. The average bride is going to be turned off by something like this. The average commercial client is just going to be confused.
I really like this because it's so out of the ordinary. We've all take pictures of, the bride and groom in front of a sunset, and, we know kind of where the lines are drawn in wedding photography.
Yeah.
And I think you could do this, and the average bride would have no clue what this is and might even be offended, like, what in the world is this? But those clients that want something like this are going to love it. I've had clients who come up with themes, and they're like, we want to do this shot in front of the helicopter because my husband's a helicopter pilot or whatever.
Right.
And when I see this, I'm like, if they hired this photographer, they would wind up with an awesome themed image. And as much post-production that's gone into this. It's done so well.
It is done really well. I mean, if you take the bride and groom out and you put, somebody in the post-apocalyptic outfit, I don't know.
Well, just take her out and then put a pretty girl in there in a dress, and it's kind of this Superman sort of feel.
Yeah. That's why I really rated it wrong the first time. I need to go back, delete my rating, give it a 4-star.
The genre is, I think, what throws you.
It does.
This is a commercial image on a very high level, but with the bride in there. I mean, even if he was like holding her or something, you could make it feel more like a movie poster.
And maybe you know what else bothers me is like his outfit is just a little strange. Like she's in the full wedding getup, but he's in like a khaki outfit with a khaki hat on and
dressed up enough.
And maybe that I would assume that's probably what he wore to the wedding. Like they did something different, but it's just to somebody completely from the outside that doesn't know this couple and doesn't know what they wore on their wedding day and doesn't know why this would be done. My first impression was like, why? What's the point in this? I'm going to move on. But after seeing it on our website over and over and over again, I got to be honest, it is excellent.
Well, we just rated it a 3 or 4, like both gave it 4s, and we've talked about it now for a long time. Right. So I think there's something to be said about this image, and you can take what we've said with a grain of salt, but I think it's cool. I like it.
It is cool. Do you know what you give that?
I think so.
Man. I'm in between two numbers again. One, 2, 3. Okay, we agree. I thought you were going to give it another 2. To me, this is like, again, just a snapshot. It's got the bad vignette on it that can easily be done on a cell phone these days. And I want to be very clear. You can take an awesome picture on a cell phone. I'm the guy that did the iPhone fashion shoot 4 years ago. You can take a level 4 image. Maybe you can take a level 5 image on an iPhone. So it's not about the camera. It's just about the thought process that goes into taking the picture. You happen to be outside. You see some guy playing trombone or trumpet, and you get out your phone and go, and then as you're walking down the road, add vignette, make black and white, upload to Instagram. That's not a level 4 image. I don't like the composition. I don't like the lighting. I don't like the post-production. It just looks like something anybody in that moment would have taken.
I mean, I imagine being wherever this shot is, and it would be this romantic feeling, and you can hear the music in the air, and it's got this energy. And then here it is, like, the horn is the only thing really lit. You have these weird people walking in the background. They did enough to, like, walk behind the musician and take the picture, maybe. Maybe that's not the right decision. I don't know. But
the musician, he's wearing like an ugly baseball hat and a sweatshirt. Like, there's just nothing about this image.
This is like a memory. You take this so that you can scroll back on your iPhone and say, like, oh, remember when we went to Paris or wherever, and there was that musician that we had coffee to. And
if this is on your website, you're not going to book clients with stuff like that.
That sound.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Okay, interesting. You gave this one a 1, but you gave the flower a 2. I'll let you go first.
I know these were pulled off the website, and it's hard to tell, but like he is clearly the subject, and I feel like he's out of focus. Maybe it's compression, and maybe that's not right. It's just, to me, it still seems like a snapshot. It still seems like there's not enough energy in here. Like, I imagine these pictures with it like a Getty photographer, and they're in the war zone, and the house just burned down or whatever. Yeah. This just seems like there happened to be a fire department that showed up, and maybe the devastation's not that bad. Like, I know I'm reading a lot into it, but for editorial, journalistic type images, I feel like the story is paramount. And I feel like there's no story here. Maybe with lens choice and camera, maybe I could be persuaded to do a 2. But it still just seems...
Here's the thing, though. The average person with a brand new camera, they're going to go outside, they're going to take pictures of flower. They're going to take pictures of their pet.
Fire hydrants and gas stations.
They're going to take pictures of a guy playing a trumpet. The average person with a camera who just got a camera is not going to have the confidence to, like,
do street photography.
Get to a scene of an accident and start documenting the situation. And that's why I give this a 2 over a 1. It's not particularly a great image. I think the post-production is poor on it. I think the black and white conversion is bad. And with just a few tweaks, you could really make
up
this
the contrast
pop.
And make it.
Yeah. The subject just kind of fades in to the background. So that's why I can't give this a 1. The average person wouldn't have even put themselves in this situation to get this picture. So to me, it's a 2. And you know, if it was just the smallest thing was different, maybe if that other person wasn't in the shot, and this guy had this, you know, kind of horrified look, and the background was just blurrier behind him. Now all of a sudden, maybe it's a 4-star image. But just the way it is right now, it definitely is lending itself to a snapshot. But I feel like because of what it is, it can't be a snapshot, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's why I give it 2.
So we've talked a lot about our rating system. If everyone was to rate this 1 and 2, it would wind up at a 1.5, which is probably what we agree at.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the sort of thing where you're saying it's a 3 and I'm saying it's a 1.
Right. Yeah, we haven't been more than 1 star apart yet. Ready? 3, 2, 1. 3-star. Agreed. To me, it's a solid picture. Obviously, post-production's been done. I personally don't like this HDR look. It's not near as over the top as the previous car shot that we saw. It still doesn't look good to me. But to the average person, it was so funny. I was actually just downtown 2 days ago with my parents.
And in that art gallery?
We went by an art booth outside at Marion Square. And my dad goes up to this photographer, like, "Whoa, Lee, how did they do this?" And it was like the worst landscape photography I've ever seen. Saturation to 110%, HDR, you know, shadows brought up, highlights brought down. It just looked ridiculous. But my dad was like, "It's amazing. How do they do this, son?" And I'm like, they don't know what they're doing. That's how they do that. And so the average person who sees this, who's not a photographer, is probably going to be blown away. You know, whoa, how did they do that? But anybody that knows anything about photography is going to see this and be like, it's a little sloppy HDR-ish. When you see architectural photography by Mike Kelly, you never think like HDR, never, because he doesn't do it. You know, it's literally light painting on the scene.
To me, this is like a vacation snapshot that's done really well. Yes. You know, like if I was there and, you know, like I'm horrible at taking my camera out and doing any kind of vacation shots. But if I did and I wound up with this, I would probably be pretty happy and I could print this and put it on my wall and feel like I remember that trip. But again, it has this sentimental value. I don't think if you're looking at booking work, the architecture guys aren't going to come after you for this. And then anybody else, there's no people in it. There's no concept. There's, you know, it's just kind of like travel photography, which it's done fairly well for that. But
I think this is a 2.5-star image, and I think that over time it would probably be rated that. But you never know. Every once in a while I see something on our website that's rated like a full star above what I think. So it's just two people's opinion. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 3-star. Agreed. Solid image. Pretty girl. Decent Photoshop. Slightly strange flat hair. It's kind of bothering me up here as somebody who's balding. I look right for the forehead, I guess. It's solid, but, you know, there's nothing that's blowing me away here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid image. I think if you were in your local headshot market, you would get work from this. Having worked now with several headshot photographers, you know, I've heard, I think all of them have said they prefer going with the sloppy rock star hair, besides perfectly pulled back manicured hair. This falls kind of in between. It's like some of the hair looks really natural, but then the top part of it just looks a little too clean. And that's subjective, how are you going to tell somebody their hair is too clean? But the crop could be a little tighter. I feel like the eyes are at a good spot. Like it sits well.
I wouldn't mess with the crop on this. I think it's good. It's solid. I don't really know what you could do to make this much better than what it is right here.
I like her expression.
Yes,
her eyes,
great expression, great smile.
Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, solid 3.
I'm in between numbers again. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. See, I wanted to give it a 2.5, so together we did give it a 2.5. I love the black and white conversion on this. I think it looks great. I just think the composition is really weird. The way that he's cut everybody off at the shin and the ankles, and the subject is like small in the bottom right.
There's just tons of space above that doesn't really.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. It could be a really good image. The other thing too is, it's like if this was composed a little better and had like the legitimate old guy hillbilly playing the music instead of young kids trying to be cool, I think then it could be like, wow, that is not just a cool picture, but that's like a piece of art, that somebody's going to hang on their wall. It's a piece of history.
But what if this is the band, and it's now not about some history or cliche like old guy playing the banjo or dobro? What if now like this is the band? I look at this more from like a commercial shoot. Like if this was the band and they needed a picture for maybe the back of their album, would this cut it? And one, I know everyone likes to make their background super blurry, like shooting at 1.2 is like the thing. This needs a blurrier background, I feel like, because it's just too busy. But I don't know how you would really do that in this environment. Yeah, it's like you have so many people, you need a large depth of field. They're in front of this shack, and that's part of the background. So it kind of becomes more of a photojournalistic type of image. And I think, if there was just a way, even if you had to exclude some people, if you made the guy who's in focus more of the subject, and he was larger, you're right, I love the black and white. It has like this pop to it that just looks really good. The tips thing, that's the closest thing to the camera, but it's not enough. We were just talking about the Michael Bay video that somebody posted where there's so many elements in front of the camera and behind the camera. Like, if you're going to put something close to the camera...
I don't think he put anything anywhere. I think he just took this picture.
But when you're framing it up, if you're going to let something like the tip jar be in the foreground, I think it's got to be really important. Or it's got to be tons of leaves that are in multiple corners that give it this feel. It's a little strange to me that the tip is so small and insignificant and it's so close to the camera.
All right, let's move on. We finished.
That was it?
That's all 20.
20 images.
Yeah, so now if we rated your image poorly, it's definitely not to discourage you from uploading more pictures or going out and taking more pictures, but I think that, we rated completely independently of each other. We only disagreed by 1 star max and only a few times.
Yeah.
And usually when we disagreed, we could be convinced one way or the other, or we agreed that it should be a 2.5 or 3.5 or whatever, somewhere in the middle. It's very easy when you are just starting out to look at your art, whatever it might be, by the amount of work that you've put into it. I always struggled with this in school. I thought because I did something that was difficult, the picture must be good because listen to how many lights I used. Or I spent 8 hours in Photoshop on this. It must be good.
I've had people email us that were upset about a rating on a particular photo, and they're like, you don't know how much effort and time and all the work that went into this image. And I think what we're trying to say here is that you have to disassociate yourself from your work and your experience of the work and step back and just say, should I even have taken the picture? if you put tons of time and effort into it, should I even have done that? Like,
Yeah.
I've had shoots where no one will ever see the outcome, and I've spent half a day or all day.
Oh, yeah.
And money.
We've spent so much time. When we were first learning photography, like, we would set up photo shoots every single week, and they'd be very expensive, very complex, hours and hours on it, and many of them were total failures. Like, I remember we were trying to do this ice cream shot once, and nothing about this picture turned out. The ice cream kept melting. I didn't know that, like, a lot of people use mashed potatoes as ice cream. We use real ice cream. Anyway, total failure. We spent, like, days and over $100 on all the little...
I went to the grocery store, bought all the toppings.
Yeah.
It was a total failure, but, like, we learned something from it.
We did.
But that image, we should find that image now, but
I know.
that image will never see the light of day, and I think you just have to be real with yourself, and you have to compare your work. What does my ice cream shot look like compared to what McDonald's is using for their advertisement?
And when somebody comes to your website and is deciding, am I going to hire this guy or am I going to hire this other person, they're not going to call you and say, how many hours did you spend working on this picture? They're just going to look at it and go, why did he crop it like that? That looks like a snapshot. Or, oh my gosh, another flower picture or another picture of their pet. Like, forget that person, right? And so I believe that our rating system on our website is the best and easiest way to just post a picture online, let the community rate it without having to explain why, and you can just see a number and go, huh, that image that I thought was a 5-star image, it's a 2-star image. Like, I can finally see it now from other people's point of view. So don't get discouraged. Just take some more pictures, and hopefully, if you guys like this, we can do more of it. I think it's kind of fun, you know?
It is fun. And I don't want this to all be about, is the image tack sharp? And, you know, is the blurry background 2.4, you know, 2.8 or 1.4? Like, I really want you guys to get from what I want you to get from this is these images have to give the audience an emotion. And they have to be done in such a way that everything comes together as a photographer, and you're not looking at your images as a photographer, but rather as, I guess, the audience, as somebody looking to either hire you or buy your work. And that's very different than looking at your work from a technical standpoint. How many images have we had of brides where technically it's shot with 5 lights and this was used for my advertisement and this image is flawless? It's like a 4 for me. And then your client looks at it and they hate the dress she's wearing. And then
Her
you realize
arms look fat.
You realize the dress she's wearing is so out of fashion right now that you may actually lose clients because of the dress, which you never even considered. It's crazy, but it's one of those things you just kind of have to be aware of and start putting on your own work.
Yep. But so thanks everybody who allowed us to critique their work. And
if you like this, leave comments in the comments below. And if you want to rate these pictures yourself, we will have a link to where all of these pictures are left in the comments of the previous post. So you can actually go through, rate everything. You can upload your own pictures. And if we do this again, you'll be able to put your own work in the mix.
Yeah, just so you realize, you have to go to fstoppers.com, create an account, and then the rating system will actually appear. And you're not allowed to see the rating of an image unless you've rated that image yourself. And I think that's really good, because the people that complain, they're like, oh man, I don't want people seeing my 2-star rated images and stuff that are just haters or whatever it might be. You actually have to rate the image to see the rating. And over time, your images will not be rated by 1 or 2 people. They'll be rated by hundreds of people.
Yeah, if you had 100 votes and it came out consistently as a 2, and you kind of say, well, I've ignored the 1s and the 5s that are kind of the extremes, you may say, hey, it's a 2. I have to come to terms with that, and maybe you should remove the image. Or, you know, replace it on your own website with something that's better.
Yep, but thank you guys for the time. We'll see you next time.